Alright, today's video is going to be a little different. I'm not going to talk about politics or the state of affairs of the world for a change. Instead, I'm going to tell a deer hunting story, seeing as how hunting season is right around the corner. This isn't the story of how I got my first buck, but I will admit that's an interesting story. It's about what happened that morning before that fateful day. Some deer hunters choose style over function, and this is the story of one of those hunters. For some hunters out there, it isn't their rifle that's the biggest expense. It's all of the accessories that go along with it. These days, deer hunting really doesn't hold my interest. Getting up at the crack of dawn, sitting around freezing my ass off until some less than impressive buck shows up, really doesn't seem that exciting to me. However, going on a predator hunt and hunting something that was capable of killing me, now that would get me out of bed in the morning. If I really want a Wisconsin whitetail, there are other means available. Anyway, let's get on with the story. Of course, it begins at the crack of dawn on a chilly November morning. Dad and I are just about to make our way into the woods on opening day of Wisconsin whitetail season, when Dad suddenly announces that he has to go back and go to the bathroom. We walk back into camp, and I go into the camper to give him some privacy so that he can do his business. Because nobody wants to be witness to the sights and sounds of an outdoor deer hunting potty break. This isn't an exact representation of the throne that was available, but it's as close as I could come. So I'll add that it was a level or two more primitive than this. Now let's set the scene. There are a lot of things to consider before you take your potty break in the woods. A lot of things to adjust, move, or outright remove before you do your business. Ground conditions could even become a factor before the job is done. Something that apparently Dad didn't take into account. I suddenly hear from inside the camper someone calling for help in a voice that I didn't quite recognize. It was a little bit too high-pitched for Dad. But I stepped out to investigate, nevertheless. I stepped outside the door of the camper to see a pile of blaze orange laying on the ground and an extremely white ass sticking out of the middle, and a roll of toilet paper flopping in the wind from his outstretched arm. He was still calling for help in that strange panicked voice, because he couldn't see me from the position that he was in. Now, you have to bear in mind the seriousness of this situation, because when you're deer hunting, your scent is everything. And this was an extremely serious situation. First of all, I was laughing so hard, it was hard to formulate a plan of attack. And second of all, there were multiple things to be considered. Still laughing, I walked around him, grabbing his outstretched arms, pulling him away from the scene of the accident a foot or two. I left him to his own devices because I could no longer stand because I was laughing so hard. He finally managed to get all of his equipment straightened out and back to his feet. At about the same time, I was starting to recover myself. I'll never forget the sight of my usually composed father spinning around like a ballerina in front of me, saying in that same panicked voice, "Is it on me? Is it on me?" Fortunately for him, he had managed to survive the incident, unstreaked. And except for the scent of panic, scent free.